Hello and welcome to episode 200 of Techspert Weekly. A frankly bewildering milestone for something that absolutely should have been put down like a lame donkey after about 4 episodes. And because I couldn't actually be bothered to think up any ideas myself, I've had quite a few suggestions from you lovely folk about just how to celebrate episode 200. So Info Orange starts with maybe you could get Tim Cook on as a special guest for your 200th. So you can enthuse about all things Apple before Mr. Wangsock boots him into the piss-making iFroth machine. That's a great idea, it sounds a lot of fun, but mate, I honestly, I can't even get email replies from low-level Apple PRs, let alone somehow convince the CEO to fly all the way over to Blighty just to be interviewed in my crappy garage, so I think that one's a bit of a non-starter. Etienne Sharp says, Techspert Weekly 200, the people demand Mr. Wangsock's origin story. And likewise, Andrew Slough says, a retrospective of the evolution of the star of your channel, Mr. Wangsock. Alrighties. Mr. Wangsock was found abandoned in a used KFC bucket back in 1987 in Islington, along with his identical twin, Jerry. The pair were inseparable until Jerry made it big in television and went on to replace James Corden as the host of The Late Late Show. Ratings doubled overnight. Mr. Wangsock, bitter at his brother's success while he himself languished as a bit part character on a shitty low-budget YouTube show, plunged into a deep depression and vowed swift and bloody vengeance on a world that consistently and mercilessly shit in his kettle. Fun Mr. Wangsock facts. His star sign is Sagittarius, he once dated Taylor Swift for 18.5 hours, and his favourite movie is the director's cut version of Driving Miss Daisy.
Oi! What the f*** was that, you malodorous slaphead? You just made all that bollocks up! I'm an only child, a Capricorn, and my favourite movie is Felching Nuns 4, Revenge of the Teabagging Vicars.
Well, frankly, my version is a lot less upsetting than the actual truth.
Cock biscuits!
Next suggestion from Mark Porter, who says, episode 200, Chris should do the news from Bournemouth Beach while consuming as much Welsh lager as possible. A peculiar and rather precise request. And if I did bugger off right now to the beach with a placky bag full of booze, I can tell you exactly what won't happen, and that's me shooting the rest of this video. And also, I don't actually know of any Welsh lagers. If there's any good ones out there that I should definitely give a go, please do clue me in. But here's some fine British beer, which I will consume in front of some sort of beachal scene. There we go, a bit of Sidmouth in Devon, apparently. It's not quite Bournemouth, but it'll do. Some proper British beer with some proper British beaches. Just try not to tread in the dog shit. For episode 200, Martin Sells suggests a guy hungover while having hair of the dog telling your mom jokes, same old, just like every other week. Now that I can absolutely do. I've got some sort of recipe on the go from Moto Matt, who says, for episode 200 you need to try a DDP, a dirty Dr. Pepper, as it combines beer and the taste of Dr. Pepper. Drink 3/4 of your pint, then top it up to a half pint with Coke, and then drop a shot of Amaretto in it, preferably still in the shot glass, and neck it. It should taste uncannily like Dr. Pepper, apparently. Alright, well, I'm suitably intrigued. So step 1, drink 3/4 of your pint. Well, that's my kind of step. Oh, bollocks, I probably drank a bit too much there. Whoopsies. I didn't find any Coke in the cupboard. We do have some Pepsi Max, apparently. Bung a bit of that in. Alright, let's give this a go. Ooh, fizzy fizzy. If I end up somehow managing to not get this all down myself, I'll be very impressed. Maybe a Dr. Pepper that's already been drunk and pissed out by someone. But on the plus side, it's already given me a nice little buzz, so cheers. And also, I'm very much wondering who was the first person who actually thought of combining those beverages. Crazy motherfuckers, I salute you. And final suggestion, just a new one, says Uncle Spurt presenting in a mankini for the 200th. Well, you asked for it.
Ah, f***ing hell! It's like someone trying to stuff a dead skunk in a handbag! Quick, someone gouge out my eyeballs!
Techspert Weekly! So in the interest of not being banned for life from YouTube, the mankini has suddenly been peeled off and tucked away. Maybe we can bring it back for episode 300, if we actually make it that far. Anyway, let's merrily prance away onto the actual tech shenanigans that a lot of people might have clicked on this video in anticipation of, even though those people have almost certainly buggered off long before we even got to the mankini bit. In fact, I'd be shocked if anyone's actually still watching after all that shenanigans. I might as well just sit here and drink beer for 10 minutes. Now, it's been a quiet year for bendy blowers so far, but Motorola is apparently going to rectify this situation by spaffing out a fresh new pair of dinky Razr foldables in the next few weeks. And in fact, they've already conveniently linked all over the internet, so let's have a wee squint at these flexible morphos. The regular Moto Razr 50 or Razr 2024, depending on which sources you believe, will upgrade the dinky 1.5-inch cover screen of the old Razr 40 to a proper big 3.63-incher, similar to last year's Razr 40 Ultra. So rather than crappy wee widgets, you can actually run any app you like on it without going to all that exhaustive effort of unfurling the phone to reveal the 6.9-inch internal display. The Razr 50 will apparently be powered by MediaTek's Dimensity 7300X, which sounds like a custom version of a MediaTek chipset that hasn't actually launched yet. But if the Dimensity 7300 is a gentle evolution of the Dimensity 7200, which is stuffed inside of the Nothing Phone 2A, you can expect some comfortably mid-range performance with just about enough grunt for some serious gaming. And here's hoping that Dimensity 7300X is an energy efficient chipset as well, because apparently the Razr 50 will sport the same size 4200 mAh capacity battery as last year's model. Except now, of course, it's got the added power drain of that whopping great enlarged cover screen. That dual lens camera sat alongside the cover display consists of a 50meg main shooter and a 30meg ultra wide angle snapper, if these leaks aren't a hot sack of sheep's knackers. So far there's been no word whatsoever on what actual camera sensors Motorola is using, but hopefully they'll be fine enough for everyday snaps. And as always, you'll be able to use that dual lens camera setup to take selfies using that cover screen as a kind of viewfinder. But while the Razr 50 is unlikely to cause any growing sprains or emergency changes of pant among even the most ardent of flexible phone fans, Motorola is also coming at us with an upgraded Razr 50 Ultra model. And again, a wee bit of consternation caused by the name. So apparently the Ultra will be called the Razr 50 Ultra across most of the globe. But in America, for some reason, they're changing it to the Razr Plus 2024. Why the name change? Who knows? What I do know is it's going to make naming the YouTube videos a lot of fun. And the Moto Razr 50 Ultra Plus 2024, whatever the will sport a very similar design to the regular model, that big old 3-inch cover screen and a 6.9-inch Full HD Plus POLED panel squirreled away inside. You can expect a handful of upgrades versus the regular Razr 50, one of them being the performance. So that Dimensity chipset will be swapped out for Qualcomm's recent Snapdragon 8S Gen 3, a more power efficient and not quite as beefy version of the flagship 8 Gen 3. Although this was also found stuck inside the considerably cheaper Poco F6, which launched this week with the same 12 gigs of RAM. The good news is, at least, that it handled Genshin Impact just fine, even on the highest graphics settings. And that 50meg main camera will this time be joined by another 50meg effort, this time a portrait shooter with 2x optical zoom. Ideal for shooting family members and pets and other things you might find in your house besides beer and hard drives filled with super strength hentai. And those leaks have also revealed a proper IPX8 water resistant finish for the Ultra Plus 2024, compared with the mere splash resistant design of the normal Razr 50. And besides that, it appears that most of the rest of the specs for the Razr 50 Ultra will be the same as the regular Razr 50, apart from the battery, which is apparently slimmed down even further to a 4000 mAh capacity cell. Here's hoping that's one leak that turns out to be a big old drizzle of donkey pish. Anyway, that's all the hot internet chat on the latest Motorola Razr 50 series, which should be launching around June time, probably for a price starting at around sort of 999 GBPs. But did that do it for you, or has this malleable pair left you cold and limp like a week-old Savoy? Definitely let us know down in the comments below. And now it's time for the part of the show that you wouldn't imagine could be even worse than the sight of me in a mankini, but here we are. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments. Alright, kicking off the episode 200 viewer comments with Blake Buchanan 1996, who says, I learn a new British word every single video and I'd like to think I'm becoming better for it. Thanks for being one of the best tech folks on this site, you lovely haggard human. I'm very much glad to be of service, Blake, and yeah, the old eye bags seem to be bulging ever more. with every passing week. But yeah, I'm sure the tech launch shenanigans will slow down eventually, right? Oh, Daz Ritchie says the modern version of Dissing is apparently throwing shade. So there you go. We're all learning new vocab this week. And one of the best and only reasons for having kids is, of course, you learn plenty of new vocab off of them. I get called all kinds of fun and entertaining things, the latest one being sus. Absolutely everything is sus. I'm sus, the postman is sus, the cats are sus, the fish finger sandwich I made her for lunch is sus. Mershid says, has anyone ever seen this guy responding to any comments or doing any interaction with his viewers? Oh yes, me, just now. That was easy. Cypher Ajibola says, Uncle Spurt makes the most unique content. You're like the Da Vinci of this period. That is an incredibly flattering comparison. Thank you, mate. I honestly didn't think I would ever even get mentioned in the same sentence as Da Vinci. Not unless, Da Vinci was Cockney rhyme and slang for c***. But yeah, Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper and invented a whole bunch of stuff, including basically helicopters. And I review cheap phones on YouTube and converse with a crusty, jizzy old sock. Practically the same thing. And next up, Noisy Boys says, I'm watching this immediately before going into my GCSE geography exam. No last minute cramming for you then. I'd say good luck, but obviously far too late for that. I just hope you didn't get confused and started writing about jizzy socks instead of tectonic plates. And lots of correspondence in the comment section about the iGulu home brewing machine, which I thoroughly tested last week. Night Owl says, $699, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. That for a lark. You can get a butt ton of alcohol for that price. Jesus. Yeah, good point, well made. And yeah, very true. As much as I love the idea of crafting my very own beery concoctions, I'm very much a path of least resistance kind of guy these days. So given the option, I'd probably just jump straight on Deliveroo and order a crate of booze from my local offies. Drevo50 says, this is the content we're here for, a spurt juice machine. And Nakazul1 says, finally a video I can get behind. I think you should test various tech, weird and useful, and not just phone related stuff. I absolutely 100% agree, but unfortunately it is the phone related stuff that usually gets the clicks and gets your Uncle Spurt paid. I've tried reviewing robot cats and all kinds of random shit in the past, and generally they wither and die pretty fast. Dias Regum says, I'm drunk, why else would I f***ing be here? I get the feeling that people who are far too wasted to know what they're really clicking on, and indeed are only semi-aware that they're actually even on the internet, probably make up about 90% of my audience. Stefan Medici says, here in New Zealand, not only is homebrew tax-free, but so is home distilling. I once had a, Jesus Christ, how do you say this, Gewürztraminer Grappa. A winemaker friend made that. It was about 90% proof, brutal, but 10 mils in a mug of black coffee was a fantastic morning wake me up. Jesus Christ, that wouldn't wake me up, that would probably just put me down for the rest of the day. Turf Shifter says, that beer looks like utter shit and no way worth the price, and I predict that after 12 to 18 months you won't be able to get the ingredients. Obviously sponsored content for something that is pointless, turning into unbox therapy. I'm detecting just a wee bit, just a smidge of misplaced man rage right here. It's okay, buddy, this is a safe space. Just show me on the doll where your daddy touched you. Paddy WV says, a friend tried the Pinter automatic brewing system and it worked out well the first time round, nearly blew it up the second time, so kind of put it to one side. Probably a wise decision, that one. And yeah, not gonna lie, I was slightly tense having this enormous, highly pressurized canister thing basically right beside my head for around 9 days while I was filming and editing video. Urban Spaceman says, Asda apple juice from concentrate, 1 teaspoon of wine yeast plus a bit of sugar, wait a couple of weeks and boom, scrumpy for less than £1. See, this is one drink that I could just never really get into. Just any kind of cider. I don't know, maybe I've just never had the good stuff, but to me, it all tastes like diabetic's piss. Cinema the Samurai says, now I know why you're always drunk. Alcohol is the worst thing ever, and you're promoting it. May God show you light. As long as he doesn't show me light beer, I'm more of a special brew kind of guy. Bryce says he's been reading Viz since he was 11, and it's the best thing to come out of Newcastle. Probably that and horse boxing, obviously. Jason McMeekin says, hey Uncle Spurt, I've seen that new Sony and it's shit. I'm assuming you're referring to the Xperia one here. $1,300 for full HD screen. They got rid of the camera and the video apps, and Sony says you will get something over an update, and they got rid of the 21:9 ratio. Can't wait for your review. Yeah, real shame they ditched the 21:9 thing. That's one of the things that made the Sony phones so unique. And as for getting rid of Video Pro and then saying that they'll bring it back in an autumn update, what the f are they smoking? Whatever it is, hopefully they'll pack some in the box when they finally get around to sending my Xperia sample over. And bugger, better make this the last one for the week because I actually ran out of time about 20 minutes ago. Clinton McCool says, have you made any progress in dealing with your sexual repression? Yeah, that's all going really well, thanks. I usually just beat myself with a knotted rope and take a bath in cold custard until all of those naughty thoughts just go away. So a massive thank you to everyone who commented last week, and especially to those who suggested weird stuff for me to do for episode 200. Please do scribble down your comments in a digital fashion, obviously, in the comments section down below, and we'll merrily prance our way through as many of those as possible in the next episode, which isn't next week. Next week, what the f is next week? Now, sadly, there's going to be a 1 week break from TechSpert Weekly, but do not fear, there'll be plenty of geeky, hands-on, fondly tech shenanigans still going live next week. That tech grope and goodness includes my Pixel 8a review. We've got some special edition smartphone shenanigans, which is top secret right now. Can't see any more on that. So please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell to make sure you don't miss any of that bollocks. A massive thanks to everyone who's watched this shower right to the end. Weren't even put off by the Mankini bit, you crazy f***s. As always, have yourselves a fan-bloody-tastic weekend, and see you on the flip side. Cheers everyone, love you!